For 45 years the world feared a nuclear apocalypse, which never came. Hitler's quest for world domination would lead the world to the brink of nuclear destruction. The beginning of this was Hitler's ambition to conquer the vast Soviet Union arrogantly. The consequence of this attack on Russia would result in Germany being brought to her knees. The Russians fought back against the powerful German war machine, which resulted in the invasion of Berlin in 1945. Stalin, a tyrant, a dictator, an evil ruler, and he didn't tolerate any criticism.
Eisenhower informs me that the forces of Germany have surrendered to the United Nations. The flags of freedom fly all over Europe.
During the invasion of Berlin, when the Americans and Russians met each other, it was redone dramatically for the movie cameras. In 1945, on the 6th of April, a bomber, the Enola Gay, dropped its first atomic bomb on Hiroshima and later on Nagasaki. No one had seen this level of destruction on such a massive scale from a single bomb. The sheer destruction from the bomb was unbelievable. The bomb first explodes, destroying everything in its path. Then a shock wave is sent out, collapsing the already crippled buildings, and then a massive heat wave is sent out, burning everything in its path. And of course, there is the radiation released by the fallout, small particles of dust contaminating everything within hundreds of miles. In short, the world's scientists had unlocked some of the mysteries surrounding the basic building block of all matter, the atom. Following upon Ernest Rutherford's discovery in 1911 that the atom consisted of a central core, the nucleus, surrounded by particles called electrons, it was discovered that the nucleus of certain chemicals, when split, could release vast amounts of energy. The radiation sickness comes later, with people vomiting and bleeding from the genitals, and then kidneys and liver fail, and eventually death follows. Long-term effects on the very few survivors is leukemia, cancer, and babies born stillborn or even worse, deformed. The consequences of the atomic bomb was hard to imagine until the actual event took place, when an American plane dropped the bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Little did the Americans realize it, but they had started the road to destruction, and with unsurmountable ramifications. The act started a new kind of war and ended the old one. In 1945, on the deck of the battleship Missouri, Japan surrenders.
In the Baltic, to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent. Behind that line lie all the capitals of the ancient states of Central and Eastern Europe: Warsaw, Berlin, Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Belgrade, Bucharest, and Sofia. All these famous cities and the populations around them lie in what I must call the Soviet sphere.
Stalin's fear of the West prompted puppet communist governments being set up, which were called satellite countries. The beginning of the Cold War was starting to unfold. In 1949, Russia develops its own nuclear bomb. The American nuclear monopoly was over. From 1950, each side continually developed more deadlier and more accurate weapon systems. Each side already had enough nuclear firepower to destroy each other many times over. There was fear that American involvement in Europe might create a nuclear confrontation. Tension between these great powers almost reached dangerous levels with each new level of crisis. For example, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Empire to simply call the arms race a giant misunderstanding and thereby remove yourself from the struggle between right and wrong and good and evil.
For Halloween!
Nance, if John F. Kennedy were alive today, he'd be younger than I am. I'm 75 years old, and I've got my finger on the button. I just couldn't think of anything more scary than that, huh? Trick or treat, fellas.
Ever since the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, the Soviet Union and America have been involved in a massive arms race mainly due to the fear of communism expansion and capitalism expansion. Each side has tried in the past to outwit the other side in both technology and the sheer number of arms, and especially new technologies developed, which America has always seemed to have the advantage in technology. Treaty of Arms disarmament have led to many disarmaments of vast quantities of weapons. For example, the MAD Treaty, Mutual Assured Destruction, which meant each side will have officially 100 missiles each. Many disarmament policies and treaties have been put forward. Some have been signed but with no real commitment. Most treaties are for public support or very political. Hardly any real military forces have been decommissioned.